Morning, everybody, for joining on a Saturday morning. People who haven't joined, too bad, because today we're going to have a important aspect that we're going to learn. All of these days, number one, we only learned about the concepts, right? What are the things that is happening inside of us? What could be happening outside of us in order to carry out the project of maternal mental health? நிறைய கான்செப்ட்ஸ் படிச்சிருக்கோம், அதை புரிஞ்சிருக்கோம். We have in a lot of ways introspection, அதாவது we have put நிறைய இடத்துல did I do it right, did I work with my child properly during my pregnancy, did this happen? Lot of questions were boggling in your head, and believe me when I say this, but learning begins when there is a lot of introspection, because when you set everything in your body, in your life, it becomes very relevant to reach out to another person, right? So on that note, today is all about what do I do with everything that I've learned, right? So we have been bombarding you with information, concepts, knowledge, read this, read that, answer, do these questionnaires, do all of the awareness, be aware about yourself, be kind, be loving, respect your body. All of this we have talked about. Today, we're actually going to talk about being there for another person. Being there as yourself. So, when we speak about being there for another person, all of this involves two things. One is you become completely aware about yourself. Unless and until Arshia knows what she brings to that particular room, she will not be able to do justice wherever she brings herself. Not only in an RSRM facility. It could be even for a family dinner. Right? That is important. Second, becoming aware about what your role is in that particular setting. Right? Now, today we are going to talk all about the second point. What is our role in a setting? Okay, so I'm going to ask, this is an extremely interactive session. Please participate, because otherwise it is going to be very, very I would be demanding out of if you're not going to be participating, I will seem as a person who's demanding, and I don't want to do that. So we need to co-regulate, right? Co-regulate and talk. Yesterday we spoke about co-regulation. So we need to co-regulate and bring out the basic facilitation skills. Okay. So one of the first questions, முதல் கேள்வி, cycle ஓட்ட தெரியுமா எல்லாருக்கும் cycle? Thumbs up everybody who knows. Okay, who cannot answer, use the chat box. Yeah, cycle ஓட்ட தெரியும். Okay, cycle கத்துக்கும் போது, when you learned to cycle, how was the process?
It was very difficult.
It's difficult. Okay.
We have to balance. We should learn balance.
We learned balance. A very interesting point. Okay.
கொஞ்சம் பயமா இருந்தது.
Okay. So all of this when you learned to ride that bicycle, right? Now, எனக்கும் நடந்தது. I was also very scared, by the way. And I was like, ஐயோ நம்மளால முடியுமா முடியாதா and all of that. இப்போ இதுல கூட சில பேர் இருக்காங்க, நான் பார்த்தே சைக்கிள் கத்துக்கிட்டேன் அப்படின்னு சொல்றாங்க. அவங்களுக்கெல்லாம் ஒரு பெரிய குண்டு போட்டுட்டு நம்ம மிச்ச மீட்டு பேர் பத்தி எல்லாம் பேசலாம். So பார்த்து கத்துக்கிறவங்க, I agree, all of that, it is amazing, it is wow, right? But கத்து கொடுக்கும் போது எப்படிலாம் உங்களுக்கு கத்து கொடுத்தாங்க? Think about it. உங்க அப்பாவோ, உங்க ஃப்ரெண்டோ, உங்க பாட்டியோ, இல்ல உங்க அம்மாவோ, இல்ல சிஸ்டரோ, சிப்ளிங்கோ எப்படி கத்து கொடுத்தாங்க?
In fact, the learner விட the person who is teaching suffers a lot.
எப்படி பண்ணாங்க? I am asking a specific question.
கீழே விழாம அந்த சைக்கிளோட நாங்க பெடல் பண்ணும்போது ஓடி வர்றது
ரைட், ஓடி வர்றது,
விழ போறோம் அப்படின்னா நம்மள தாங்கி
பிடிக்கிறது. வெரி குட். சப்போர்ட், by being a support. புடிச்சிட்டு விழாம இருக்கிறதுக்கு, that's very important point, Amudha. Thank you. Subhashri.
Being patient, Smita.
Being patient. அதாவது நீங்க விழுந்தா கூட உங்களை எழுப்பி விட்டு திருப்பி கவலைப்படாதேன்னு சொல்றது பீங் எம்பாத்திக், வெரி குட். அது ஒண்ணு. பீங் பேஷண்ட். சில பேர் ஐயோ நிறைய பிடிக்க முடியாதுன்னு ஒரு தேர்ட் வீல் போட்டு விட்டுருவாங்க சைக்கிள்ல, சப்போர்ட் அப்படிக்கா விழக்கூடாது அப்படின்னு ஒரு தேர்ட் வீல் போட்டு விட்டுருவாங்க. ரைட்? இந்த திங்கிங் நம்மளுக்கு தோணாது. நம்ம கத்துக்கும் போது நம்மளுக்கு தோணாது. நம்மள அப்ப கேட்போம், அப்பா எனக்கு தேர்ட் வீல் போட்டு கூடன்னு. கேட்க மாட்டோம். அப்பாவே சொல்வாரு, கண்ணா நீ விழுந்துருவ, சோ நான் தேர்ட் வீல் சப்போர்ட் போடுறேன்னு அவங்கள பிரெயின் அப்படி போகும். ரைட்? So they will put a third wheel for a fixed support. Right? Making sure that you do not fall and you strike a balance. Right? வேற என்ன? What are the other ways? This is one more ways. கூட ஓடிடுறது. அப்புறம்
கீழ விழுந்தாலும் என்கரேஜ் பண்ணு. Okay, don't worry, you can get up. Come on.
Okay, நம்மளுக்கு அப்படி கொஞ்சம் அப்படியே வந்த உடனே என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க?
They'll give us a confidence. Even when we fail, they give us confidence.
Very good. So what happens when I'm like, imagine I'm learning bicycle and my brother, this was my brother who taught me. So இப்படி பண்றேன், பட் அப்படியே திரும்பி பாக்குறேன், நானா 2-3 பெடல் பண்ணிடுறேன். அதுக்கப்புறம் என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க? ஜெனரலி வாட் வில் a person do?
கண்டினியூ பண்ணுன்னு நம்மள ட்ரை பண்ண சொல்லுவாங்க.
நம்மளுக்கு ஊக்கம் கொடுப்பாங்க,
நம்ம
மோட்டிவேட் பண்ணுவாங்க. நீ ஓடிட்டு வேடா செல்லும், நீ போடக்கண்ணா, நான் இருக்கேன் பின்னாடி, நீ போ, நீ பின்னாடி பாக்காத போ சொல்றோம் இல்லையா? இல்ல பாரு, இல்ல நீ ரொம்ப பயப்பட பாரு, நான் உன் பின்னாடியே நானும் சைக்கிள் ஓட்டிட்டு வரேன், ரோல் பிளே பண்ற மாதிரி. நான் பாரு எப்படி பேலன்ஸ் பண்றேன். So we have covered all aspects of how you learn a bicycle. Facilitation is exactly that.
Even we fall down also, நம்ம காயம் எல்லாம் படாம நம்ம கத்துக்க முடியாது. சோ இதெல்லாம் வந்துட்டு just leave it, motivation. அதெல்லாம் விட்டுருங்க.
Correct? All right answers, all are right. Correct? இதுல எல்லாத்துலயுமே ஒரே ஒரு காமன் ஃபேக்டர் இருக்கு. Number one, it has the intention to make you learn and allowing the probability that and ensuring that you try, knowing when you find your balance, it is time for them to let go. Right? And probably the new age parenting, like when I talk after learning bicycle, new age parenting is ensuring consistency, right? We keep saying, hey, cycle otu paru, palakkupaduthu appada muscle memory varum, palakkupaduthu dinno otna da cycle nyabagam irukum. Ana oru darava cycle kattukita marakuma? Marakadu, because it gets onset in your muscle memory. Muscle memory is something which is directly connected, entwined into our front brain. Okay, so anyway, we'll leave that. But oru tharava kathukita, we will never forget it. Facilitation is something which is the same process. A facilitator is a person that makes an action or a process easy or easier. Okay, a person who ensures that you learn something, allowing you to learn in your capacity, knowing when you have found your balance and leave. Basically, your role today in RSRM is to be that facilitator, to know what is your position, what is the probability that you are going to be helpful, to know if the client or the patient has in front of you already having a balance, already knows how to take care. If not, I will support you. If you do, I stay away. That is the role of a facilitator. And once a facilitator is enables the other person to manage on their own, your role and your job is complete. Right? Your job is actually done. So Renda, adutha question. Is facilitation helping?
And also, sorry to interrupt, Smita. And also one thing I would like to input, in cycling, I mean, these are the first thing which we learn in life, right? And it's also emotionally connected. When something is emotionally connected, it stays with us for a longer time.
Very true.
Yeah, right.
The person who learns and the person who teaches, they have a strong bond, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
You're right. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, but I'm coming back to the question. Is facilitation helping?
Yes.
Yes, somebody said yes, Ilya.
No.
Okay.
No. To an extent, no.
To an extent, no.
No.
Okay. Anybody else?
Because facilitating, it says you enable the other person to do it. So helping means you're going to do it. But facilitating, you're enable somebody to handle things on their own.
Yes, so Subhashri has actually given a wonderful answer. Facilitation is helping, yes. But the intention is going one step further. It is enabling the other person to be on their own. Or chinna example eduthukalam. Helen is trying to join and she keeps going back and forth. Subhashri, can you call her and ask what the problem is? Yeah? Illata avanga vandu audio liye kekattum, right? Yeah, sorry about that. Let's take one spooty example, okay? Ipo, you are in a hospital setting, right? And you are there as a TNPN facilitator. Ipo ஒரு mother வந்து ஒரே palpitation. She's probably going to give birth or she has already given birth and she's going on doing, and she's walking with a glass of water or a bottle and she's miserable. உங்களுக்கு தெரியுது கண்டி. What is it that you will do? What is it that you will do? What is your instinctive reaction?
ஏதா ஹெல்ப் வேணுமான்னு கேட்க தோணும்.
கேப்பீங்க. என்ன ஹெல்ப்? Look at that word. உங்களுக்கு ஹெல்ப் வேணுமாமா அப்படின்னு கேப்பீங்க. ஆமாம்மா எனக்கு ரொம்ப படபடான்னு இருக்கு டாக்டர். ஏன்னா for them everybody is a doctor, okay? So அதனால even if they call you like that, you tell them that when you call me by my name or anything, we'll come to that part later. But எனக்கு ரொம்ப படபடான்னு இருக்கு டாக்டர், கை கால்லாம் சில்லுன்னு இருக்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கு, எனக்கு பிடிக்கவே இல்லை. இப்ப என்ன சொல்வீங்க?
அப்படியா, don't worry, panic ஆகாதீங்க.
I will get someone better to help you. இத பத்தி
I'll get someone better to help you. Right, correct. Right. And so either you have told her that you're going to be helpful to her. Right? So you've done only one part of the job. The other part of the job is yet to be done. You have not enabled her yet. Right? How do I enable her, Smita? Because I'm not a doctor. I don't know what to do. She just is feeling so difficult and I can see it, but I cannot do anything about it because I don't know what to do. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a gynae. I'm not a nurse. What do I do? You enable by empathizing with her. உங்களை பார்த்தா கஷ்டப்படுற மாதிரி இருக்கு, எனக்கு தெரியுது, எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சு நான் 2 பிரீதிங் எக்ஸசைஸ் பண்றேன், என்னோட சேர்ந்து பண்றீங்களா, காமாறீங்களா பாரு. அதுக்குள்ள டாக்டர் வந்துவாரு. That is facilitation. உங்களுக்கு என்ன வேணும், நான் ஹெல்ப் பண்றேன், helping. But facilitation is going one step further. Ask her the right questions. Empathize with her. நீ கஷ்டப்படுறது என் கண்ணுக்கு தெரியுதுமா, நான் என்னால முடிஞ்சது செய்யறேன். இல்ல நான் உன் பக்கத்துல உன்னோட கூட நடக்கட்டுமா, இல்ல நீ உட்காரும் போது உனக்கு முதுகு தடவி விடட்டுமா. Action. When you display the intention of action, it is enabling the person to come back into their bodies. That is facilitation. When you say, edana help veduma, nichuma illa paravailla appadina solluvam, because nobody wants to tell the other person that I am unable to take care of myself, so please take care of me. What everybody will generally do is, no, paathukken. We do that, right? My husband also says, unak edana veduma nilla na paathukken. It is very, very genuine. You feel that, the same thing. But when you display the intention of wanting to be there by also suggesting that you are capable, that is facilitation. How do I do that? By saying, I am here for you. When I felt like this, it works. It helps when I breathe. Do you want to breathe with me? Invite her. That means that not only you are offering yourself, you're offering your informed self. That is facilitation. So you have not only helped the mother, you have enabled the person to take a step further. Right? Now, what is facilitation? Facilitation is a process. Process na enna? சும்மா ஒருதா வந்து touch and go பண்ணா அது facilitation கிடையாது. Facilitation is not saying எதனா help வேணுமா தண்ணி எடுத்துட்டு வரட்டுமா. That is helping. That is not facilitation. Facilitation is a process. I see that you are disturbed. எனக்கு வந்து suppose a nurse comes out. I took an example of having a stillbirth. It unsettles any woman, any human for that matter. Or stillbirth ஆச்சு, நம்மளால அந்த குழந்தை ரொம்ப கஷ்டப்பட்டுச்சு, something like that, right? A nurse comes and she's just probably sitting calm and say, probably you just sit with her. Say, எனக்கு தெரிய வந்தது, do you want to talk? எனக்கு இந்த மாதிரி கஷ்டமான ஃபீலிங்ஸ் இருக்கும்போது I really like to, எனக்கு எப்படி டச் பண்ண ஃபுல் பிடிக்கும், இல்ல கிராட்டிடியூட் பிராக்டிஸ் பண்ண பிடிக்கும், நம்ம 2 பேரும் சேர்ந்து பண்ணலாமா, எனக்கு ஒரு மாதிரி இருக்கு. It is a process. It is not touch and go. It is not saying that உங்களுக்கு எதனா வேணுமா, டீ எடுத்துட்டு வரட்டுமா, காஃபி சாப்பிடுறீங்களா, and just doing something and going. கிடையாது. It is a process. You start it with communication. You offer your informed self. You empathize with the individual. You enable the individual to be the best version of themselves or in a better version. And then you leave the individual. It is a process. It is not a touch and go. It is not urga. It is proper rasam. Adu kodikkum modudha smell varum. So it is the process of making rasam. It is not like urga, touch and go. Right? Second, already we discussed at length, facilitation is an enabling process. மூணாவது வந்து it is a premise of trust. Trust பத்தி நேத்திக்கு டாக்டர் கோவிந்த் ரொம்ப அழகா பேசினார். He spoke beautifully about trust. He said that a person who can easily trust is a person who has got a very solid, strong foundation of childhood. And I couldn't agree more. Generally, in a setting where women, in the present setting, people who come from the low marginalized crowd, they come from very unsettling situations. They don't trust easy. வெள்ளத்தோல நம்ப கூடாது, இங்கிலீஷ் பேசுற அவங்க நம்ப கூடாது, நல்ல ட்ரெஸ் பண்ணிட்டு லிப்ஸ்டிக் போட்டுட்டு வந்தா அவங்கள நம்ப கூடாது. These are premise judgments that they have. We have to overcome it by building trust. I'm not saying don't wear lipsticks, don't be well dressed. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that trust. How do you build trust? Same process. Offer your informed self. I know what I'm giving you. Breathing வந்து help பண்ணிட்டு எனக்கு, இல்ல நான் வந்து breathing specialist, இல்ல நான் வந்து breathing exercise கத்துட்டு இருக்கேன், என்னோட சேரீங்களா? Offering your informed self creates trust. You're not a person who comes and fleeting and looks at the person and just say tata bye bye and goes. She needs to believe that you are there for her. Right? That is building trust. So what is facilitation? It is a process, it is enabling, and it works on the premise of trust. Trust is imperative. If you don't trust me, you're not going to listen to one word I'm telling you now. Right? You're going to just shut it and say, hey, avachumma solite irukka. Trust is important. Right? If your children don't trust you, they will not lock eyes at you and look at you. And you need to build that trust. They just rely on you. Right? Govind netike evlo nalla explain pannaru, right? So trust is a very basic, raw, primal instinct. We need to work on that. How? We will learn it today. Right? But I want you to understand the concepts well. What is facilitation not? And this is very important, friends. Why it is, what is not facilitation is not giving advice. நான் வந்து எனக்கு வந்து நான் குழந்தை பெற்றுக்கும் போது எனக்கும் இந்த மாதிரி ஆகும். அப்ப வந்து எங்க பாட்டி சொன்னாங்க இந்த மாதிரி இப்படி பண்ணும் அப்படி பண்ணும். Can you really offer that help to her? நீ சரியா உன்னோட சிஸ்டம் கிளீன் பண்ணிருக்க மாட்ட, இல்ல நீ வந்து மோஷன் போயிருக்க மாட்ட, அதனாலதான் உனக்கு படப்படன்னு இருக்கு. It is all advice. Because are you making any tangible effort in making her feel better? No. Advice. நீ உன் புருஷன் கிட்ட நல்லா பேசினா உன் புருஷன் உன்னை கத்த மாட்டான், இப்ப அழுது என்ன புண்ணியம்? Advice. Do not give advice. You might be having the whole lot of life experiences. நம்ம லைஃப்ல நிறைய விஷயங்கள் நம்ம எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் பண்ணிருக்கோம், நம்ம கத்துக்கிருக்கோம். நம்மளுக்கு சொல்லணும்னு தோணும், ஐயோ எனக்கு இப்படி ஆச்சுமா, அதனால நான் உனக்கு இப்படி சொல்லணும், நான் என்ன பண்ண தெரியுமா. When you start with that, it becomes an advice. I feel that you are discomfortல இருக்கீங்க, நீங்க கஷ்டப்படுறது எனக்கு தோணுது, நான் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன், எனக்கு பிரீதிங் பிராக்டிஸ் தெரியும், என்னோட சேர்ந்து பண்றீங்களா? That is facilitation. என்ன பாப்பா உன்னை பார்க்கும்போது இப்படி ரொம்ப படப்படான்னு இருக்க, என்ன நீ சரியா என்ன எதனா சோடா வாங்கி சாப்பிடுறியா? ஹெல்பிங். என்ன நீ சரியா கார்த்தால மோஷன் போலியா? டாக்டர் சொன்னது கேட்கலையா? அட்வைஸ். புரியுதா? You might come from a lot of good life experiences, but stop yourself from giving any advice because it is only going to hamper. Oh my God, அமுதாக்கு தெரிஞ்சது எனக்கு தெரியலையேன்னு தான் உங்களுக்கு ஃபீல் ஆகும். Because once you give advice, remember facilitation is like this. The moment you start giving advice, it is like this, and help is like this. So we have to try to come to this level. When you give advice, you become like a supremacy. You are not doctor, right? So that is a very important. Yes, Maria.
So Smita, like we, I don't know, as a culturally or as a human being, namukku the advice kudukudhu, it's so natural, right? Because it's been learned from generations to generation.
Right.
We don't listen to them. We just know என்ன சொல்யூஷனே இல்லாம ஒரு சொல்யூஷன் மட்டும் கொடுத்துடணும். If you hear a problem, இப்படி ஆச்சா, இல்ல இப்படி பண்ணா சரியாயிடும், or you don't worry, எல்லாமே சரியாயிடும். These words are very loosely used, and the situation or impact தெரியாம we kind of know very loosely.
Solution கொடுக்கிறது is like very very this thing, and we do that with our children, right? Do you think it's
exactly.
right?
No,
do you think giving advice to children is right? Arshia, you want to share something, right?
Yeah, adding to Maria's point, I mean, we have been in the same environment, right? Since childhood, we have been in the same environment. I mean, unless I didn't, if I wouldn't have got an opportunity to come into this maternal mental health, I wouldn't know. Means we speak, what all we have felt, but we never know. Sometimes I do give my own experiences to other person, means to my sisters or to my friends and all. Now I think I shouldn't give that one, because they feel, I felt that I am right at that point, but right. What they would have felt, I don't know what they would have felt, but right. I'm just sharing my experience. See, I also undergone this much things. This is common, but I think I shouldn't.
That is the everything was fine. Intention was fine. We know where the problems came in. When you said that this is common, because that way what happens is you are invalidating her problem.
Yeah.
So she's going to feel, okay, if it's common, that means that what I feel is of no relevance to Arshia, or it is no relevance, and I just need to shut up, and that's the end of it. Right?
Yeah.
That is where it becomes advice. Intention is fine. You're talking about your life experiences. Everything is fine. But when you come with the premise of only helping, you generally resort to advice. But when you come with the premise of enabling, automatically your thoughts will shift. Yes, Maria.
Right.
I don't know. The term common, it's kind of very, it's a very dilemma kind of word for me, because Smita, we used to discuss, right? We say like, no, we shouldn't make them feel alone. Okay, this situation is there for everyone. So the mother or the nurse or whomever we are dealing with, okay, fine, we're not alone in this, in this problem. People have undergone this situation. So can you just explain more on it?
Right.
So there is a fine line between,
right. Yeah, so your question actually, I'm going to be addressing in our communication skills, but I'd like to answer it now since you brought it up. There are two different things. One is generalizing, and one is advising that it is a common thing, right? It's very different. What is the difference is, when you say that what you're going through happens to for example, before delivery, feeling palpitation is very common. Every woman goes through this and all of that, and you can also come out of it. That is generalizing, where you're saying that, okay, this happens. It is nothing that you are feeling out of the blue. But when what you say is that what you're feeling right now is இன்னும் புதுசு இல்ல, எல்லாருக்குமே நடக்கிறது தான். It happens to every woman. Nothing new with you. That is actually invalidating her feelings. There are two separate ways of others. The cue to this is, in your mind, if you keep only this very simple thing, whatever I say should enable the person to become all right on their own in Banda, it will be a generalized statement, right? But if you're going to come from a state that, idu onnu perisilla, idellam gudamaidum, that comes as an advice. So the intention is where we make the difference, and we don't realize it, but our tone la namalukku theriyum. For example, my daughter recently got her period, right? And when she said that, Amma, I am struggling with it. I don't know how you put up with it. It's so disgusting. Why do I have to do that? That is invalidating. Because it is her pain, isn't it? It's new for her. But when I say that, every woman goes through this, Kanama, and you are going through it in your own way, you will develop the resilience. You will be a pro in all this. That is generalizing. Where you are telling her that you will develop it, give it some time, right? But we have mothers who say that, right? That is very daunting. Because it is me, it is the first experience, right? Did I answer the questions, Maria? Between generalizing and okay. Yeah, we have Subhashri. Solunga Subhashri.
Yeah, Smita, இப்போ வந்து இந்த generalizing, advice, facilitating இது எல்லாத்துக்கும் நடுவுல வந்து ரொம்ப ஒரு thin line இருக்க மாதிரி தான் இருக்கு. அதாவது அப்படி ஒரு ஸ்டெப் எடுத்து வச்சுட்டா அது அட்வைஸா போயிடும், ஒரு ஸ்டெப் கம்மியானா வந்து அதை மினிமைஸ் பண்ற மாதிரி ஆயிடும். இத வந்து
என்ன செய்யலாம்?
சோ ஓவர் த பீரியட் தான் நம்ம இதை ஓவர் கம் பண்ணுவோமா, நம்ம பை பிராக்டிஸ் தான் புரியுமா, அதுக்கு ஏதாவது ஒரு கிரைட்டீரியா வச்சிருக்கேல நம்ம வந்து இத வந்து இதுல கேட்டகரைஸ் பண்ணுவோம், இத பேசினா வந்து நம்ம இது அட்வைஸ்ன்ற மோடு போகும் நமக்கு தெரிஞ்சாதான். பட் the environment that we are going to work with are from very அதாவது சில கேள்விகள் பதில்லாம் நம்ம டைரக்ட் ஃபேஸ்ல வந்து வேற மாதிரி ஒரு என்விரான்மெண்ட்ல ஒர்க் பண்ணுவோம். அவங்களே ஆல்ரெடி ஒரு பெரிய பிரஷர்ல தான் இருப்பாங்க. நம்ம சொல்றது நம்ம இன்னும் நம்மள எவ்வளவு காம் டவுன் பண்ணிக்கணும் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஆஃப் ஆல். So how do we know that this only can be,
where do you draw the line, where do you become aware? That is the question. Very 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 good question. Next slide is going to answer that. Okay, right?
On the funny note, I mean, yesterday this happened to me. I had a patient extraction palla edukkarada. Hope everyone, Ashya can understand enoda position. So since I'm attending all these classes, what happened yesterday, I had to extract, and that was patient's first extraction. And I've done extraction myself, wisdom's tooth, ஞான பல்லுன்னு சொல்வாங்க, அது நான் எடுத்திருக்கேன். So I know how a local anesthesia on that place will feel. But that is the first time experience for the patient, and the female patient, she was very very scared. So every patient, I used to say that you will first have a small prick, you will first have a pressure forming, ballooning. Example, you will feel heaviness, and I know this because I've done this, and I've also felt the same. Adukaprom இல்லையா, ஐயோ அப்படி சொல்லக்கூடாதே சொல்லிட்டேனே. I mean, since we had this topic, everything was running in my mind. I was like, oh my god, why did I tell that? What should I tell now? I was stuck completely because I'm trying
now
to
know, right? Now
things.
You know that explaining a process is being very assertive, so that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, but yeah, I know that, but then immediately I was like stuck. I was like, oh, I learned that I'm not supposed to say that. Now what should I say? Then I took a minute's time and I said, it's okay, things will get all right, everything will return back in 2 hours time.
Right, very good. That's a very assertive way of communicating, right? Thank you Puna, for sharing. Right, so we come back to the question that Subhashri has put forth, right? So what is facilitation not? It is not giving advice, not being judgmental. Don't look at a person, don't look at a lady who is walking with palpitation and assume that she has not had a good motion and start asking her questions, bombarding with questions. Don't make assumptions, because assumption is a big part of being judgmental. Generally kuda nama life la judgmental la irukka kudadu, but in a setting like where we are going to be facilitators, ஜட்மெண்ட் எல்லாம் தூக்கி ஒரு மூட்டையில கட்டி ஒரு கர்ச்சீஃப்ல நல்லா கட்டி அப்படியே பேக்ல போட்டுட்டு போகும், அதுக்கப்புறம் வெளில வந்து திருப்பி அதை எடுத்துக்கலாம். So judgment is something that we will try to refrain from holding. Moonavathu is trying to sort out other people's problems, right? Adhe madri da ipo Maria and I think Arsha have said that we have that innate thing. Or a problem na adu udanede na na solution thevilla. When you do that, you come from that idea that I can solve your problem. I am the superwoman. No, they can solve their problem. Problem ni vanda, everybody knows to solve it. Allow them, enable them, stand out and enable. It's difficult, very difficult, especially when you know that na solradhu kadisila na sonnadhu patti aachu. That is okay. That is for your own satisfaction, self-satisfaction. But you have to make the other person learn. And much of it is parenting. I take a lot of parenting workshops. Much of whatever I'm saying today, I say to all the parents, right? And having said that, I'm not a perfect parent. I'm a 40% range, right? Like Dr. Govind said, I am a 40% there, okay? I'm just good enough in what I do. But I'm not saying that what you are going to learn is going to change your life, but it will definitely change the way you have relationships, and it definitely will have an impact, right? And the next one is expecting or encouraging that nee ipdi da irukonu, nee apdi da pandanum. That is also not facilitation. Emotionally involve agakudadu. This is a big part of being judgment. Na sonnadhu nee seiyala pathiyama, na sonnadana nee modhu sella seriyagum. Again, that's again being judgmental, that you know it all, the other person doesn't. And the most important is imposing your value system in the situation with the person or the group. This is something which may definitely happen when we are all going as a group of facilitators. Amuda comes with her own stories. Arshia comes with her own stories. There is a possibility that when you congregate, you meet to work in a hospital setting, you will carry your value system. Carry it. Carry the best version of it. Do not impose it in the setting. What do you mean, Smita, by imposing it in the setting? If Amuda feels that fruits is the best way to hydrate yourself, and Arshia believes that in order to hydrate oneself, one has to drink a lot of water. Every 2 minutes, keep sipping water. It's a very small thing. But na sonnadhu da nee say no. Give options. Whenever you're offering yourself, when you're bringing your value system, try not to impose. Make it a choice. To the group, first to the group that you're working with, then to the people that you are enabling. Okay, let's try to use the word enabling. Now, again, something which Subhashri already spoke about. Facilitation skills can be acquired over time with practice. Subhashri already idu sonnanga, idu eppadi theriyum Smita, eppadi namalukku kandupidikka mudiyum. The key is persistence. That is, every time you go to the setting, every time you be a facilitator, remember it in your head that I'm practicing today to do the best version of what I can offer. I have to keep up at my approach. I have to hold my intention in a way that is enabling. Perseverance and persistence are two important things I generally always say that persistence and perseverance, very important when you come as a facilitator. Nichama, you will have your ups and downs. Adcha, na ivlo seire. ஆனாலும் புரிஞ்சிக்காம இந்த பொண்ணு இப்படி செய்யுதே தோணும், நிச்சயமா தோணும். சே, நான் இங்க நின்றுட்டு இருக்கேன், என்ன பார்க்க கூட மாட்டேங்கிறான், இவ்வளவு பண்ண அவனுக்கு தேங்க்யூ கூட சொல்லல இருக்கும். நிச்சயமா இருக்கும். We are human, right? We feel bad. We are emotional beings, right? But persistence is keeping at your goal, saying that I have come here with an agenda to be an enabler. It's fine. I can forgive her. She's going through her own shit, right? Okay? That is important. And that comes with practice. It is not something that will come overnight. Trust me. It's very difficult to come overnight, but it can happen. But in all of this, how do I do it? Two things we will learn today. Building your skill set, building your toolkit. This rendu vishayamu, when we learn it, you will be able to figure out the thin line between not going overboard and not underperforming as a facilitator. And they're very, very simple skills. It's not like I'm going to give you some pudu gyanolam kadiyadu. Ella therinja vishayam, I'm just going to bring it to the thinking brain. That's it. Ella eggu ulla irukku. Namalukku therinja vishayam ella eduthu thinking brain ku edutittu varaporai inniki. That's all. But inga vandadukku aprom start using it. Become an enabler of sorts. Right? trust me, after the end of the session, you will all feel much more empowered, much more resilient, calmer towards your own life situations. Even as a parent, I'm telling this to you, right? It's life changing, right? So stay put at what we are doing. Now, the first thing that we need to know is that you are working not with humans, you're working with emotional beings with feelings, right? And when I say, for example, one of our interns is a pet parent, right? You all haven't met both of them, but they're extremely, hardworking girls, Apurva and Adi. I don't think they're here today, but they are pet parents. When you mean pet parents, in the sense they actually literally pick up, pets from the weed and then they nourish them till they become okay and they send them back. And that's being a pet parent, that's being enabler, right? But they work with the creature's feelings. Imagine if a key creature like a dog feels so much of emotion, how much a human being that is going to either give birth or is working in the process of giving birth, because it's a miracle, right? Every single day to witness a miracle, you go bonkers. It is very stressful for a nurse or a healthcare worker. அதாவது ஒரு பாப்பா பிறக்கும் போது அந்த லேடிக்கு எவ்வளவு ஒரு சந்தோஷம். பட் நர்ஸுக்கு அந்த சந்தோஷம் ஏன் வரமாட்டேங்குது? Because it's not that she's bad, she's tired, she's so fatigued, she's not able to feel that emotion. She doesn't realize that she's working not with the body of the mother, but she's working with the mother's feelings. Putting the child to breast, you think a nurse doesn't know this? She knows it, but she doesn't want to do it because she's fatigued. She doesn't realize that it is not the body that she's working, but she's working with the emotions. And that is where PNPN facilitators are going. You don't have to go tell them that, உங்களுக்கு தெரியுமா, குழந்தை பிறந்த உடனே அது பிரஸ்ட்ல போட்டாதான் அது பால் சுரக்கும். அதெல்லாம் எனக்கு தெரியும் பாப்பா, பட் நான் அது ஏன் செய்யல? Because I am fatigued, right? So you just have to tell it to them that குழந்தை பிறந்த உடனே பிரஸ்ட்ல போட்டா நிறைய பால் சுரக்குமா. ஐயா நீங்க அதெல்லாம் செய்றீங்களா? அப்பப்ப செய்வோம். And believe me when I say this, the next 2-3 births that she's going to be witnessed, she will do it, right? That is enabling. That is bringing to the front what she already knows, and that is how you work with feelings. Instead of telling her இப்படி போட்டாதான் பால் சுரக்கும், அதனால அடுத்த தடவை நீங்க பண்ணும்போது நிச்சயமா அந்த குழந்தை பிறந்த உடனே அதை பிரஸ்ட்ல போட்டுருங்க. She's not going to do it. She's not going to even hear you probably towards the end of the sentence. கூட கேட்க மாட்டாங்க, right? But இதெல்லாம் செய்யறதுக்கு, to be available for another person, what do we need to understand is that we are also having the space to take the feeling. The nurse is unable to respond positively to a mother, not because she is bad, because she is already overflowing like a jug full of water which is overflowing. Overflow பண்ற ஜக்ல இன்னும் தண்ணி விட்டா என்ன ஆகும்? வெளியில தான் தெளிக்கும், ரைட்? அண்ட் அந்த கண்டெய்ன்மெண்ட், அந்த ஜக்க பாத்துக்கிறது நம்ம வேலை. அந்த தண்ணி வெளியில வருது is because of already overflowing emotions. How do we contain our emotions? Is a very assertive behavior. It is very, very simple, but it is an assertive behavior. Only when you hold space for more water in your jug can you allow people to put your feelings. Because the nurse is already overflowing with her emotions of fatigue, irritation, probably body pain, right? That she's not able to bear the woman's feelings of joy or even sorrow for that matter. இதெல்லாம் நம்ம நடக்கிறதுதான் இல்ல, just being quiet. It's impossible. We are there to provide that jug which has got space to take it. So remember, I'm going back to what we started, being self-aware. If you don't feel settled, do not go to the setting. Tap your emotions. Tapping in is important, because when you tap in, you are not making yourself a point. You're actually doing a favor on not only yourself, but even for the other person by being available in the right appropriate. Make sense? Yeah. So, Subhashri.
Smita, is it because that அந்த ஸ்டாஃப் நர்ஸ் அத பெருசா எடுத்துக்காத காரணம் அது அவங்களோட வேலைங்கறதுனால அத மாதிரி ஒரு
that's again a judgment இல்லையா? Is it not a judgment? It could be. I'm not saying that, but we cannot judge that. Okay, the staff nurse அவங்க வேலைன்னு எடுத்துக்கிறதுனால Probably she's just fatigued. Probably she's had a bad day. Probably her own daughter is going through childbirth and she is up the whole night attending to her daughter who's a new mother. So any other mother that she sees, she gets irritated, right? Right? As a caregiver. There are many ways, but it does not justify. Again, look at the person as you are helping the person. Don't help the person with your own judgments, right? Right. So when you talk about being contained or working with yourself, what you are basically doing is you recognize your feelings, right? And Netika, we spoke a lot about the mirroring, right? You recognize your feelings and you are able to calm yourself, recognize your own feelings, and you're able to be available for the other person. That is how mirror neuron works. So when Arshia goes to the setting with a calm demo and she says that, you are going through some difficult situation, and she's calm, it is going to mirror calmness to her. Something is totally wrong with me. Patya and the doctor kuda vandu solranga. So that is an overflowing jug wanting to go and help, which is not helpful for even the jug or for the water that wants to come into the jug. Right? Amuda, you want to share something?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, my daughter has gone through 2 major surgery and 1 minor surgery. So இதெல்லாம் அது அப்புறம் கூட அவ ரெக்கரண்ட் யூடிஐனால நிறைய வாட்டி ஹாஸ்பிட்டலைஸ்ட் ஆயிருக்கா. அப்ப ஐவி லைன் எடுத்து அது அந்த மாதிரி நிறைய இது நான் பார்த்துட்டேன் அவளோட. ஸோ அப்படி இருக்கும்போது என்னோட ரிலேட்டிவ் ஒருத்தவங்க அவங்க பொண்ணுக்கு உடம்பு சரியில்லை, ஸோ பிளட் டெஸ்ட் எடுக்கணும்னாங்க. ஆனா பிளட் டெஸ்ட் எடுக்கிறதுக்கு ஐயோ ஊன்னு அவங்க பயந்தாங்க. ஸோ ஒண்ணுமே இல்லாததுக்கு ஏன் ஒரு ஜுஜுபி மேட்டர், எதுக்கு இதுக்கு இந்த I mean, why they have created so much scene? எனக்கு தோணுச்சு. அதே இது தானே இப்போ நர்ஸும் அவங்க அவ்வளோ பார்த்திருப்பாங்க. அப்போ இதெல்லாம் நத்திங் அப்படிங்கறதுல அவங்க அந்த வே ஆஃப் திங்கிங்ல அவங்க போலாம் இல்லையா? ஏன்னா நான் எனக்கு அதுதான், ஏன்னா ஒரு பிளட் டெஸ்ட்டுக்கு போய் இப்போ
but Anna, right, that's I agree but Amruta, but is that
புதுசு எனக்கு புரியுது. பட் நத்திங்கிறது அவங்க மைண்ட்ல இருக்கிறதுனால எனக்கு I got irritated and I didn't tell anything. ஓகே, இது அவங்களோட இது. அப்ப நான் எவ்வளவு ஸ்ட்ரெஸ் ஆகணும், எவ்வளவு சீன் போடணும், நாம அதெல்லாம் பண்ணாம கூலா ஹேண்டிலிங், ரைட்? அந்த இது அது ஏன் அவங்க பண்ண மாட்டேங்கிறாங்க அப்படின்னு நினைச்சிட்டு. பட் இது ஏன் நர்ஸும் அதே மாதிரி அவங்க திங்க் பண்ணக்கூடாது, ஒண்ணுமே இல்லாததுக்கு இவங்க ஏன் இது பண்றாங்க அப்படின்னு தானே அவங்க வே ஆஃப் திங்கிங் இருக்கு.
There are many ways, possibilities that the nurse will be thinking. அதான் சொல்றேன். பட் நம்ம we cannot sit in judgment and we cannot say that அவங்க she is not behaving like this because of whatever reason. நம்மளால judge பண்ண முடியாது. Did she come and tell you that I am thinking this way? If not, then don't take it for granted. If another person comes and actually tells you, and that's another very important thing, if person comes and asks for help them. Don't assume that you're there to help and fend for everybody. You're not Jhansi Ki Rani. You're only going to be there to be providing for them to your capacity, to your best informed interest. We cannot go there and be helpful for everybody that you see. Yaar kannla paathalu vaava help pandren sonna, that is not being assertive. That is really being very, that's madness, right? Can't do that, right? So adnala, one of the things that we need to also think is tapping in is important, self-awareness is important. If I'm aware, I'm going to be available for another person. Otherwise, I'll keep my thoughts to myself, much like what Hamuda said. நான் நினைச்சுக்கிட்டு நான் சும்மா இருந்தேன், right? But again, although you keep quiet, don't hold the other person in judgment. You don't know what their pain is. தெரியாது, right? Thank you for bringing that up. So while offering a containment, it is important to maintain confidential information that they share. However, remember, what is your role there? You are a facilitator. Are you a doctor? No. Do you know about childbirth? Not really. Do you know about nursing a mother? No. Do you know too much? Do you know so much? Even if you are a lactation counselor or you've been working in the spectrum of psychology and everything, do you know what that mother is going through? No, because she is not your patient. So always take a step back and tell the mother genuinely who you are. I am not a nurse from the hospital. I am here for you. I am here to make things simpler and easy for you, to help you, to just listen to you, to sit with you. Right? It is an important part because you're all going to make our own introductions by listening to this. When you observe the person as the person, if Subhashri சொன்னதுக்கு observe the person as the person. இப்போ ஒரு லேடி நீங்க அப்சர்வ் பண்ணும்போது don't come with the baggage that what must have gone through her back. Ask her. Genuinely say, I'm not a nurse, I'm here to help you and I will want to be of support to you. And trust me when I say this, people will actually open up because they have this mindset of not wanting to talk to nurse and doctors, and somebody who's coming from outside, actually they will feel more approachable. Right? Again, this is a judgment I'm making sitting far away. I don't know this. When you go and you're seeing somebody, நான் இங்க உட்காந்துக்கிட்டுமா என்னம்மா உடம்புக்கு ஒரு மாதிரி பண்ணுதா, உன்னை பார்த்தா கஷ்டப்படுற மாதிரி இருக்கு, அப்படி பக்கத்துல உட்காந்துக்கிறேன், வேணா இப்படி கொஞ்சம் எக்ஸசைஸ் பண்ணி பார்க்கலாமா, சேர்ந்து செய்யலாமே. You don't even have to ask her why she feels like that. Are you going to solve a problem? Her husband is probably just beaten her and gone. Are you going to put that person behind bars? No. Accept the woman, accept the person as she is, accept her problem as she says. You're not a problem fixer, you're only an enabler. How do you do this? Just have 4 things. Genuineness and warmth in your approach. I'm there for you. I can see your distress. That itself shows that you come from an informed idea of helping, enabling. Congruence. Come together. Can I help you? And she says yes. Then you take the step forward. Paanga, ellaru seilam vaanga. Ellaru இப்படி 1 2 3 4 பண்ணுங்க. We are not in a pre-primary school. Allow the person to make a choice. Trust me, when you give, even to our own children, when you give a choice, they feel so magically empowered. I'm telling this. You try asking your child simple thing like, if I tell you that the apple instead of having a chips, நீ ஆப்பிள் சாப்பிட்டேன்னா உன்னோட வயிறும் வலிக்காது, உனக்கு நிறைய பிளே பண்றதுக்கு எனர்ஜி வரும், அதுக்கப்புறம் உனக்கு இதெல்லாம் நடக்கும், உனக்கு ஆப்பிள் வேணுமா சிப்ஸ் வேணுமா? You're making them make a choice of their own. You didn't tell them apple chips சாப்பிடக்கூடாது because it is bad for health, because she's not going to understand, right? But when you tell her that what are the benefits of eating an apple and you give her the freedom of choice, she's going to like it. And trust me, she will never choose chips. She will not choose chips. It's a very small thing. But having congruence with what you're thinking comes from giving people a choice to do what they want to do. Don't impose things. This is like in general, right? And be spontaneous.
Nowadays kids are too smart. Give me apple as well chips. After getting apple, I'll take chips. I never leave chips.
I don't disagree. But see, you also win, right? It's a win-win situation. You eat apple, fill your stomach, at least you will eat half the chips. Right? I always do that. I always take the middle way with my kids. I know. And I have a foodie. My daughter is a complete foodie, so I understand from there that comes. Right? Spontaneous, listen to your instincts, be spontaneous in what you're offering, what you're saying to them. And positive regard. Positive regard is something very, very simple. அது நம்ம psychological concepts படிக்கும்போது positive regard unconditional acceptance இருக்கணும் and all of that. Very, very simple. Go with the idea. A person is capable of taking care of themselves. That is positive regard. Janet seems to have a problem, but I can help her, but she is capable of taking care of herself. She is not relying on me to make her life choices. And when you have that respect towards the other person, positive regard happens. And this is very simple to practice. Right? Now, I'm just going to give one very, very instance, and I want ஒரே ஒரு volunteer வேணும். Who's going to unmute themselves and do this? Just one volunteer.
Just a question. You have told these are the practices. For example, in a situation, if you're not able to say anything, is it okay to be a silent enabler? Is that okay?
Absolutely. If you're not able to say anything, introduce yourself like the way that I have mentioned before, being very genuine, and sit in silence. Start with them. Start by offering the most easiest to the other person. Which is the easiest, spontaneous. Go with your instance. One volunteer I want. So volunteer பண்றதுக்கு இப்படி யோசிக்கிறீங்க? Okay. Okay. Sorry, I'll go with Amuda for now. Probably Subhashri can do the next. Now you are in a hospital setting, Amuda. Now you have to keep all of these points. The first point I'm not a nurse, I am a TNPN facilitator and situation enna the nurse there is a lady who's sleeping in the cot. She has no baby with her, right? You're assigned the 4 beds. She has no baby with her. I'm only giving you the situation, right? There is no baby next to her.
Baby, where is the baby?
அதெல்லாம் ஒண்ணுமே உங்ககிட்ட சொல்ல மாட்டாங்க. You're going to a hospital. Maria and Subhashri have allotted the first 4 beds to be with the mother. Okay, let's not go to the mother. Maria and Subhashri have allotted a set of nurses to you, and all the nurses are sitting with you. 4 of them are sitting with you, and you're able to visibly see that 4 of them are not talking to each other also, right? And நீங்க அங்க இப்போ உங்களுக்கு டியூட்டி போட்டிருக்காங்க for facilitating probably ஒரு practice. Introduce yourself. Remember the four points: genuineness and warmth, congruence, spontaneous, positive regard, and introduce yourself. Just introduce. ஒரே ஒரு நிமிஷம். How will you introduce yourself? Take 10 seconds to form your introduction. And anybody else who wants to do this also can try. Same situation. One of you can try. Simple introduction. Are you ready?
Yeah.
சொல்லுங்க.
Hi all. தமிழ்ல சொல்லணுமா இங்கிலீஷ்ல சொல்லணுமா?
எப்படி வேணாலும் சொல்லுங்க.
Hi all, I am Amuda. I am a facilitator. Shall I come and sit along with you? அவங்க எப்படியோ ஏதாவது ஒரு ரிப்ளை பண்ணுவாங்க. Yeah, please come up. So I went and sat along with them. அவங்க கூட உட்கார்ந்துட்டு.
Right. So that's good. That's a good start. So idhula first there was transparency, right? You were genuinely saying I'm a facilitator for the TNPN. You have to tell TNPN or MMH edana odu sollano. Maria will give you all that introduction, the talking card, everything.
எனக்கு அது நான் மெட்டர்னல் மென்டல் ஹெல்த் ப்ரோக்ராம்ல இருந்து வந்திருக்கிறேன் அப்படின்றத சொல்லணும்னு நினைச்சேன். பட் அது
I think it's called TNPN only, right? இப்போதுக்கு we are going to call it TNPN. So that's okay. அதனால you introduced yourself, your role, what is it and all that. There was genuineness. Shall I sit with you? Congruence, making a choice. Spontaneous, you just chose to sit with them. Positive regard, you didn't offer any suggestion. What was missing here was that you did not offer some tangible, or you did not offer a informed being there. It is, what is your role in being there? Or informed presence. Adavadu, shall we do some breathing practice? Or I am feeling எனக்கு 2-3 books பண்ணிட்டு எனக்கே டயர்டா இருக்கு, நம்ம ஒரு breathing practice செய்யலாமா? Making yourself vulnerable and being there, offering something, right? Asking them. So good at it, Amuda. Anybody else wants to give it a go? Okay, we have a lot, so don't worry. We have also lesson time. I'll be able to finish only at 12:15. Okay, because we started only at 10:45, right? So 12:15 will be done. Okay. I already suggested there are 2 things that we're going to do today: building skill set and building a toolkit. Now, what is building skill set? Skills are nothing but things which are acquired over time by practice, right? Creating a rapport is also a skill. Creating a rapport comes from practicing the 4 postulates. Ipo sonne illaya, genuineness and congruence, being spontaneous, having positive regard, having a role, all of that, right? So all of this will culminate in creating a rapport. For example, இப்போ அமுதா நான் இப்படி உட்காந்துக்கிட்டுமா அவங்க கிட்ட, அப்புறம் அவங்க உட்காருங்க, என்ன செய்யலாம் சொல்லுங்க அப்படின்னு they ask her. And then she says that, ஒருத்தரோட கோவமா, என்ன சண்டையா, ஹியூமர், இல்லட்டா என்ன டயர்டா இருக்கீங்களா, ஆமாங்க 20 டெலிவரிங்க கார்த்தால இருந்து தாங்கவே முடியலங்க, ஐயோ ரொம்ப டயர்டா இருக்கீங்க, வாங்க கொஞ்சம் செல்ஃப் அவேர்னஸ், ஒருத்தர நம்ம மசாஜ் பண்ணிக்கலாமா, நீங்க அவங்க கைய மசாஜ் பண்ணுங்க, நீங்க அவங்க கைய மசாஜ் பண்ணுங்க, இல்ல நீங்க வந்து நெக் வந்து உங்க பாயிண்ட்ஸ் நோட்ஸ் பார்க்கலாமா, ரிலாக்ஸ்டா இருக்குங்க. This is creating a rapport, right? Actually being there, bringing your informed self, spontaneously talking about what you can offer, and analyzing the situation and bringing the best foot forward, right? For example, suppose Maria has given the agenda that today we are going to do gratitude practice. Gratitude practice, there are 4 or 5 flashcards which are going to be there. Choosing what you want to do with them, probably Maria will give you a nudge that we will do it. But how to do with them, she's not going to tell you. That is where your flavor comes. And that starts by rapport building. Nobody in the world is going to tell Amuda that gratitude practice நீங்க இப்படிதான் செய்யணும், நாங்க கார்டு பண்ணி கொடுத்துருவோம், பட் நீங்க இப்படிதான் அதை படிக்கணும்னு we cannot say. அதுதான் அது அமுதா flavor, அதுதான் ஜானட்டோட flavor, and that is rapport. You choose to say that கார்ட்ல இருந்து படிச்சுட்டு நீங்க வந்து சொன்னீங்கன்னா அது ஒரு டிஃப்ரெண்ட் செட்டப்பா rapport ஆயிடும். பட் நீங்க கார்டு படிச்சுட்டு சரி இப்படி செய்யலாமா அப்படி செய்யலாமான்னு சொன்னீங்கன்னா அது ஒரு டிஃப்ரெண்ட் அப்ரோச். ரெண்டுமே ஓகே, ஐ எம் நாட் ஜட்ஜிங், பட் both are fine. How you bring to is your rapport, that is your skill, and that will not come on the first day. அப்படியே போய் we will start doing it. It might not happen. It will take at least 4 or 5 or even probably 10 sessions. Don't judge yourself. அச்சிச்சோ ஆர்ஷானால முடியுது, அச்சிச்சோ அபர்ணானால முடியுது, என்னால முடியலையே. Don't judge yourself. Give yourself time. You still probably are holding that containment. Maybe your water is still overflowing. You don't know. Allow yourself. Be very, very empathizing to self first. That is where the important part is. நான் நல்லா இருந்தாதான் இன்னொருத்தருக்கு நான் நல்லது செய்ய முடியும். I can't emphasize the importance of this idea that you have to start. Charity begins first from here. If you are not charitable to yourself, you cannot be there for another person. Right? Now, the next skill that we're going to talk about is observation. Rapport building is where you're talking and all of that. But how do I'm sitting like this. They sit like this with a group of nurses who are already distant. They're going to be more distant. If I sit like this, you're observing. Right? Eye contact is very important. Observation is not something that you do from your one organ, but it is what happens from all of your sensory organs. What are the 5 sensory organs? Eyes, smell,
Nose,
touch.
hear, touch.
Right? Observation happens from all sensory organs. So what you hear is only probably 10% of what is actually happening. எப்படி இருக்கீங்க? நல்லா இருக்குங்க. Probably it is only 0.1%. We don't know how நல்லா இருக்கேன் it is, right? And that you can get it right by doing the next part. Which is the next part? The body and the non-verbal. Look at what is not being said. If a person is sitting like this, இப்ப நான் இப்படிதான் உட்கார்ந்துட்டு இருந்தேன். I'm not making eye contact. Clearly that woman needs support, be it a nurse or a mother. If a child is lying there and a mother is just looking like this or checking her WhatsApp message, or adu urundro kaundro namba poi பக்கத்துல நிப்போமே, she is indifferent, probably she has a story. Observe to understand but not judge. It's very important. Observe what is not being said. There is more life behind நல்லா இருக்கேன், நல்லா இல்ல, ரொம்ப கஷ்டப்படுறேன், இல்ல சரியா இருக்கேன். There is life behind that. Observe the real person. Observe what is not being said. It's very important. The posture, the gesture, the eye gaze, even looking at you. Are they looking at you and saying okay to you, or just turning the face and saying I don't feel like talking to you, because they really need talk, right? Yeah. One more thing. When you observe something is drastically wrong, and you feel unsettled, that is a time when you come back to the project coordinator and say, Maria, this is what's happening with this bed lady or this set of nurses. I need your help. Maria will make an informed choice of what is to be done. Probably she will let things as it is. Probably she will take them through a series of questioning to understand if they are going through some sort of depression. But that is something that you can support her later on. But don't take things in your hands if you don't feel right about it. Just because சரி இவங்க வந்து ரொம்ப இது பண்றாங்க சரியா இல்ல இந்த குரூப் அதனால எனக்கு வேற குரூப் கொடுத்துருங்க, we can't do that. Such demands will not be catered to. Observe, be there, right? Probably you're just ready to give, but they're not ready to accept that. I'm ready to do, Maria, what can I do to make that lady better? I'm unable to think. It's fine. That's the way we learn. I ask Maria all the time in a call or something. I say, did I do it right, Maria? Do I have to improve? She keeps asking me, and we keep applauding each other. Man, that's how we have grown. I mean, Subhashriyu, Nanu, when we talk, we keep telling it, Serila, Smita, idu nalla senjinga. That's how we grow. And that cohesiveness will happen when you are vulnerable to learn. Say that ennala idu mudiyala, or I can do it better. And Maria will do the same. Subhashri will do the same with the whole team. Observe to learn, but observe not to judge. Yeah, Maria, did I miss something?
I just need to ask you a question. So I know all these will come in practice. So நம்ம பண்ண facilitate பண்ண நமக்கு இது practice வரும்னு சொல்லிட்டு. But for example, if a woman, as you said, let it to be a nurse or a mother. So some people know they needed that space. They needed to be in a calm and quiet position. And the line, that boundary, how can our facilitators identify it? Okay, I'm just going to sit there na pesure and she's she's not engaging with me. And the boundary eppadi maintain pannom, like not to overstep into their boundary. Illa நம்ம இது பண்ணலாமா, அப்போ உட்காந்து நம்ம இந்த மூவ்மெண்ட் பண்ணலாமா, breathing பண்ணலாமா, bombard பண்ணது பதிலா how can they kind of know, okay, they needed some space, they wanted to be in a quiet and calm space.
Right. How do we go about doing that? Great question. So in answer, there is no right answer to this question. Right? Probably you'll all this thing, but there is no right answer to this question. Right? I cannot answer this question because என்னோட ஒரு response தான் I don't. Why don't I know? Because I'm not in that setting. Because my senses are not working right now in response or mirroring the emotional state, because I'm clearly not in that situation. But for hypothesis, for a bedla, Maria is telling about a situation like this. How do we go about it? There cannot be a right response that I can say, but there can be a process. Suppose a lady is asking for her space. Two things. One, she really needs the space because she's not able to think clearly. And you understand that whatever advances that you're doing, verbally or respect her because you've given her choice. Walk away. You have agreed to her choice. That means that you have given her positive regard. Once you finish with the other bed, come back to her. She probably will have a change of mind. Why? Because she is witnessing you doing something with that lady. So she will probably have a shift of mind. Then you come back to her, offer yourself, enable, and come back to her and say, "Na pakkathula ukandukku chumma ukandukkrema. Enakku manasu seriyillanu thonudhu. Chumma ukandukren. Na chumma oru paatu kekkalaama? iPod the earphones podren. Paatu kekkalaama? Papa oda na pesutuma?" 50% chances are, probably more than 50% is they will concede because they see
Absolutely.
that they will concede.
Yes, Smita. Yes, Smita.
But even if after that they are say that they don't want to talk to you, they're not making eye contact, follow process. Don't leave the person to the mercy of the Lord. Follow the process. What is the process, Smita? Process is come and talk to your project coordinator. This lady is not responded the way that we expected. Maria, I don't know what to do. Leave it to her. The reason why I'm saying leave it to her is we have a process. We have a process on how to deal with these situations. Help Maria to be in the situation, because you've already created a rapport. Already that lady has seen Janet. She has seen that Janet means well to her. You didn't go and abuse her and say that, hey, now you didn't do that, right? So she knows that you come from a good space. So she will comply. Give her that choice, but follow a process. Did I answer the question, Mariam?
Yeah, adding to that, Smita, Mariam, Smita சொன்ன மாதிரி the chances are more than 50%. Why? Because first of all, எனக்கு டைம் வேணும்னு அவங்க சொன்னதை நீங்க ரெஸ்பெக்ட் பண்ணி அவங்கள்ட்ட ஃபர்ஸ்ட் மூவ் பண்ணிட்டீங்க. அதாவது ஹியூமன் சைக்காலஜி வந்து the moment you respect what the other person says, they immediately respond to what you talk. நீ 3 பேர் முடிச்சிட்டு வந்த உடனே ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா exactly they will definitely open up to you and talk. They will say, ஐயோ இவன் நம்ம சொன்னதை இவன் ரெஸ்பெக்ட் பண்ணிட்டான்ற ஒரு காரணத்தினாலே long termல it will definitely help.
Super. See, all this manipulation of emotion comes once you become a parent. I'm telling you that also. But that's just on a very jovial part. This is out of portion. So don't consider all of this, right? But yeah, it's important, right? So communication skills and பேசும்போது நம்ம பேசுறது மாத்திரம் கிடையாது. Communication is not just blah 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 blah, blah talking. It's not communication. Communication is complete only when what I speak makes sense to you. You absorb it the way I want to tell you. That is communication. Facilitation involves communication, not teaching. When I am facilitating this session, what I am saying, if you are able to understand even 20% of it the way I want to say it, communication is complete. But now ஒன்னு சொல்லி நீங்க வேற மாதிரி புரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டீங்கன்னா communication is incomplete. So what are the skills that are needed to make a complete communication? It's not only the verbal, not only once that you talk, but the voice. Did anybody observe that when Amuda was asked to do the practice and actually displayed practically, did you see how she reduced her voice tone? Did you see how the volume came down? How she became so empathic with her voice? It's very important. And that comes naturally to certain people, right? I'll come back to this. This is an important point. But before that, communication is also about the clothes that you're wearing. If you're going to be wearing jeans and shirts, make sure that it is appropriate for the setting. Now, this is in no way suggesting that there is an appropriate clothing, you have to be clothed well. No. You have to be clothed in such a way that you are there, you do justice to the job that you are there to do. If you're there to do a job of facilitation, come as if you are there, empathizing in every way. And if you come in your party clothes, probably it's not going to be the best day for facilitation, right? Again, no judgments on you. It is only your intention that you're talking about. If your intention is to facilitate, come appropriate. If your intention is not to facilitate, probably that's not a day for you to facilitate. It is a day for you to go and party, right? So body also encompasses the clothes and the grooming. Grooming is important. Why? Because in some way, when you reach a person, unless and until you are mentally and physically clean, it is improper to reach out to another person out of sheer respect. And also remember, they are newborn babies. They deal with newborn babies. Respect that. That kind of hygiene and sanitation is important. Facial expression. Did you observe how Amuda's facial expression completely changed? In fact, she held her this thing in such a way that we could actually see her face, right? Her intention was to do it right, right? So facial expression is important. Making eye contact is important. Opening your eyes is important. Opening your ears is important. Nodding your head is important. Everything plays a important part. Now coming back to the vocal part. Vocal part is important in the present setting in the RSRM hospital, because the observation that we have had as a team is that these people are very loud in their body language. They are loud in their voice. So if you also be loud, you'll be adding to the chaos. It is like going to a kindergarten class where already the children are shouting and you also go, yeah, you do that. You're only going to add to the chaos. Right? Probably it's okay when you're going in a party mood to play with the children. But if you go there as a facilitator, you really want to go and do yeah with the kids. Right? But you obviously also don't want to say, everybody keep quiet. Finger on your lips. That's also not going to work. Right? What are you going to do? Children, I want your attention. Make a noise, make a gesture. I want your attention. Calm down. Okay, count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Calm. Breathe in, breathe out. Right? Generally, this is what the new age teachers do. Right? Not the teachers that taught us. Finger on your lips. Walk with your hands at the back. Right? That's how we've been taught. Right? So we all have been taught like that. But we don't want to be that way. Right? We don't want to teach our children to keep finger on your lips. If you're doing that, don't do it. Please don't do it. I'm not judging anybody, but if you're saying that to your kids, don't say it. Because that is the first expression of trust. That I'm allowed to say what I want to say to my mother is a very important trust building factor. So don't ever say your children, I would. No, and this gesture is very crucial because this is the only form of expression that the children have. Right? So if you're doing that, probably think about not doing it anymore. Coming back to the setting, adding to the chaos with your high voice is not going to help. When you calm down, you will mirror calming down to them. It's as simple as that. You take a calm voice to the setting, they automatically will calm looking at it. For example, live example. Maria, me, Subhashri, the whole team went to RSRM hospital. Nanga enter panna udaniye, there was a fight between a father and a nurse staff, the two nurse staff, because something had gone wrong. They had not mentioned the birth time properly, the COVID factors, the father was not allowed inside. So there's a lot of chaos, right? He was shouting and she was shouting on top of her voice, the nurse. Maria and I were looking at each other like this. And then we worked around and we came back. Then Maria observed it, I observed it, right? And then when we were talking to each other, we were talking in mumbles and fumbles. Immediately the lady turned at us, right? And she gave us a look and she was talking to and she was talking to another nurse who was standing right next to her about the problem that is happening. Right? Okay. Take 2. Maria asks this nurse for directions. I don't know if Maria even remembers this. Maria asks this nurse who's listening for directions. Immediately that lady reduced her volume to answer Maria. She didn't do it knowingly. But you see how the change happens? Because Maria was coming with a calm, low volume, and immediately she reduced her volume. And even if they do that by 10%, it's a success. And this is a problem we will definitely face in this setting. In the setting, high voice to make a case, it's very, very common because that's the way they are. The upbringing is like that. You go with a intonation is important. Voice modulation is important. If you're going to scream on top of your voice, you're adding to the chaos. Remember, you're wearing the enabler's hat. Right? Right. So, ipa skill pati nariya pace. Now, let's talk about building a toolkit. Right? What is a toolkit? Toolkit is learning things to add to what you have already known. Right? Now, or a chinna activity padla. After that, we will probably, take it quickly. It's called 500 years ago. Okay, I need 2 volunteers. Subhashri already volunteered last time, so Sue is going to be 1. I need another volunteer, except Maria. Arshia, Janet.
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah. Arshia and Subhashri, please unmute yourself. Now, this is how the game goes. And by the way, you play this with your kids. Very interesting. This game is called 500 years old. Now, Arshia, you have come into this planet more than 500 years ago, right? And then you went into cold storage, a soma storage, and you have just got up yesterday. You have no clue what's happened in this world, right? Now, Subhashri is going to make you understand a word or something, some property, some word, something. She will make you understand by telling you what it is. Now, you have to guess what that word is and understand. Remember, you are 500 years old. You have no idea about technology. So, you will use only the chedi, maram, kodi and, whatever happened 500 years ago, and you will make a informed questioning system. Your questions should be appropriate. Subhashri, your response also should be appropriate, because remember, empathize with her that she's from 500 years old, right?
Okay.
So I am writing on chat. Subhashri, directly I'm writing the thing that she has to talk about to you. Now, Subhashri, give her a hint on what this is. Remember, she is coming from 500 years back.
So I have to make her to understand how a mobile app will look like.
Achicho. You are supposed to tell her what the word is without telling the word, right? She has to guess the word.
Okay.
Achicho. Okay.
Right.
Okay, now don't say what I'm writing. Now you have to help her make find out what it is. Right? It can be very Damsharaj kadiyadu. You ask a question, she will answer it.
Okay.
But you both are coming from different worlds, right?
Okay.
Right? Okay. நீங்க ஒரு சின்ன இன்ட்ரோடக்ஷன் கொடுங்க, அது என்ன விஷயம், அது என்னன்னு.
ஆர்ஷியா?
Yeah, yes ma'am.
ஆர்ஷியா, ஒரு பாய் எப்படி இருக்கும்? படுத்துக்கிற பாய் எப்படி இருக்கும்?
Mat. Okay.
You're 500 years old. Do you know what a mat is?
Yeah. பாய் தெரியும். Bamboo, made of bamboo.
Made of bamboo. Ask. Subhashri, is it made of bamboo ன்னு கேக்குறாங்க.
இல்ல ஆர்ஷியா, அது மேட் ஆஃப் பேம்பு கிடையாது. ஆனா அது அதோட யூசேஜ். Okay.
Ask another question, Arshia. Make your question specific, relevant to your time.
Okay. இந்த தேங்காயோட மட்டையெல்லாம் இருக்குல்ல, அந்த காயர் மாதிரி, அந்த மாதிரியா மேம்?
இல்ல, நான் அதோட யூசேஜ் மட்டும் தான் இப்ப சொல்றேன். வாட் இஸ் தட்? அது என்னது? அது என்ன பொருள்? நீங்க என்ன சொன்னீங்க? அது இல்ல, அது ஒன் ஆஃப் த யூசேஜ். அதாவது அது நீங்க என்னன்னு ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ணீங்க? படுத்துக்கிறதுக்கு பாய்க்கு இங்கிலீஷ்ல என்ன?
Arshia, your mic is on.
Oh yeah, sorry. Mat.
Right.
Floor mat.
Right. அதுல நம்ம என்னெல்லாம் பண்ணலாம் ஆர்ஷியா?
மேம், தூங்கலாம், உட்கார்ந்து சாப்பிடலாம், படிக்கலாம். இதுதான் ட்ரெடிஷனல், இதுதான் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம்.
அப்புறம் வேற என்ன பண்ணலாம்? வேற என்ன அதுல?
நீங்க கேளுங்க ஆர்ஷியா, புதுசா நீங்க என்ன செய்வீங்கன்னு கேளுங்க.
ஓகே, புதுசா என்ன செய்யலாம் மேம்? அதுல
வேற அதாவது சில பிராக்டிஸ்லாம் வேற என்னென்ன பிராக்டிஸ் பண்ணலாம் ஹர்ஷியா? அதுல என்ன அந்த மேட்டுக்கு என்ன யூஸ்? நீங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி உட்கார்ந்து சாப்பிடலாம். ஓகேயா? அதுக்கப்புறம் அதுல வேற என்ன பண்ணலாம்? அது என்ன யூஸ் பண்ண முடியும்? அதை வச்சு நீங்க என்னெல்லாம் யூஸ் பண்ணலாம்? ஒருத்தர் உட்காரலாம், படுத்துக்கலாம், அப்புறம் என்ன பண்ணலாம்?
டென்ட் இல்லனா ஷெட் மாதிரி கூட ஒரு ஸ்டிக்ஸ் எல்லாம் வச்சு கூட ப்ரிவென்ட் பண்ணலாம். சின்ன ஹட் மாதிரி செய்யலாம்,
பண்ணலாம். ஆனா இப்ப படுத்துக்கிற அளவு இருக்கிறது உங்களுக்கு அவ்வளவு அந்த இடத்தை கவர் பண்ணாது இல்லையா? சோ அப்ப அது என்ன, தரையில போட்டு உட்கார்ற ஒரு பொருள். ஓகேயா? ஓகே. அதுல வேற என்ன பண்ண முடியும்? இப்ப ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் ஒரு 2 அடிக்கு 3 அடி இருக்கிற, அதாவது 2 feet by 3 feet இருக்கிற அந்த பாயே, அதுல வேற என்ன பண்ண முடியும்? நீங்க அது கவர் பண்ண யூஸ் ஆகாது இல்லையா? சோ அதுல இப்ப என்னெல்லாம் பண்றாங்க?
சுபஸ்ரீ, நீங்க என்னெல்லாம் செய்வீங்க அதுல?
நான் நம்மளோட ரிச்சுவல்ஸ். சொல்லுங்க.
சாரி மேம், அந்த பிளேட், அந்த ஜூட் சாப்பிடுற
பிளேட்டான்னு கேக்குறாங்க. இல்ல, இட்ஸ் நாட் தட்.
ஓகே.
அது ஒரு பாய் இல்லையா?
ஓகே.
சோ அப்ப
that is a mat.
Yes.
Okay.
What is that?
Mat.
Right. அது என்னது?
Pie.
இங்கிலீஷ்ல என்ன சொன்னீங்க?
Mat.
ஓகே. அதே உள்ள அதுக்கு ஈக்குவலா உள்ள வேற சில விஷயங்கள்லாம் என்ன?
பயிற்சி செய்யலாம். அதுல கால் எல்லாம் அப்படி மேல தூக்கி செய்யலாம். அதுக்குன்னே அது தயாரிக்கிற மேட். அது என்ன மேட்டா இருக்கும்?
யோகா மேட்.
அது யோகா மேட்னு உங்களுக்கு இப்ப தெரியும், பிகாஸ் உங்களுக்கு அது யோகான்னு இப்ப மைண்ட்ல இப்ப தெரியும். பட் 500 years back ப்ராபப்லி அந்த அவேர்னஸ் ஆஃப் யோகா இருக்காது. சோ அதுல எக்ஸசைஸ் பண்ண முடியும், காலை தூக்க முடியும், கை தூக்க முடியும். Yeah, thank you for participating in this game. But this game, what we're trying to understand is that throughout your questioning, Arshia, Subhashri was completely empathizing from her side because she was respecting from the time that you were coming. 500 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னாடி அவங்களுக்கு யோகானா தெரிஞ்சிருக்காது, அதனால நாங்க வேற என்ன செய்வீங்க and you were empathizing that she is not able to understand you and you were giving her a lot of inputs. நீங்க ஜூட்ல செய்வீங்களா, இல்ல நான் படிக்க முடியுமா, நான் அந்த டென்ட் போட்டு 4 இது போட்டு பேம்பூல பண்ணுவேன். So did you see, this is empathy. இவ்வளவுதான் எம்பத்திங்கிறது, இவ்வளவுதான். When you are ready to get into the frame of reference of another person to understand them, it is empathy. Empathy ஒரு சிம்பிளா சொல்லணும்னா, எம்பத்திக்கும் சிம்பத்திக்கும் என்ன டிஃபரன்ஸ்? ரெண்டுமே சவுண்ட்ஸ் த சேம், ரைட்? ஒன்னும் பெரிய டிஃபரன்ஸ் கிடையாது. சிம்பத்தி இல்லாம எம்பத்தி பண்ண முடியாது. பட் சிம்பத்தி இஸ் ஆஃப் நோ யூஸ். Empathy is something that a facilitator has. Sympathy is something that a relative will have. If somebody, for example, if somebody has jumped into the well or fallen into the well, right? Achicho, ayyo, poitangle, guchtangle, that is panicking. Right? Ayyo, guchte, nanu mudisendu kudikren. That is sympathy, where you will also feel the same emotional pain that the person who has jumped into the well will also feel. Empathy is, wait பண்ணு, கவலைப்படாத, ஒரு 2 நிமிஷத்துல நான் போய் ரோப் எங்கேயானேனா வாங்கிட்டு வரேன். And the rational thinking will happen only when you are empathic. Generally also in life situations, many times when our children get hurt, we start going into the sympathetic mode, where we start feeling their pain. That is very, very natural that comes. So now, when something is happening in a hospital setting, there are enough people to do sympathy. Many people are not there to do empathy. So empathy understand pannanumna, imagine, remember this game. This game is important because you put yourself into her shoes, because she is coming from 500 years ago. And Arshia, you put yourself in Subhashri's shoes because she is coming from the present. So you both are helping out each other by coming into your frame of reference. Frame of reference is an important point. What is frame of reference? In her thinking, her own idea, her own aspects. You are trying to put yourself into her situation. She is putting herself into your situation. You are trying to help out each other. That is empathy. When that doesn't happen, it is sympathy. Simple? It's as simple as it can get. Right? Now, empathize pandradhukku. So, empathize pannumbodhu, Dr. Najia already talked a lot about empathic responses in her session, right? If people who have attended or not attended it, avanga vandu enna sonanga, I'm sorry this happened to you, this would upset me too, and it looks like you have gone through a very tough time. Do you want to talk about it? Giving her a choice is empathy. I'm on your side. I understand where this comes from. It happened to me. I understand your pain. It's no surprise that you're upset, because obviously if your husband has thrashed you, you are upset, right? Instead of saying that how dare he do this, that is sympathy. But when you say that I completely understand, நீ வந்து ஃபீல் பண்றது எனக்கு தெரியுதுமா, நீ கஷ்டப்படுறது தெரியுது, empathy. எப்படி நான் அடிக்க விட்டோன்னு அவன் மேல கை வச்சானோ பாரு, sympathy. And that will come from relatives already. You don't have to go and offer that. Refrain from offering sympathy and lip sympathy to people whom you're talking to in a facilitating setting. We are anyway offering sympathy to our own relatives, our own near and dear ones, because it's human mind. Nothing is wrong about sympathy. If a person is not sensitive, they will not be sympathetic. And if you're not sympathetic, you will not be learned to become empathetic. So adanale, it is nothing wrong. I wouldn't say sympathy is wrong, but I'm saying it is not helpful. Right? All of this will be available. These can be your go-to words. These can be your go-to sentences when you are in a fix. When a person is not responding, when a person is overtly sharing. ஆமாமா கஷ்டப்பட தெரியுதுமா, தெரியுது, புரியுது, ஆமா இருக்கணும். That is when overtly sharing. பேசவே இல்லை அப்படின்னா, சாரி இப்படி ஆயிடுச்சு, உனக்கு பேச பிடிக்கல, நான் பக்கத்துல உட்காந்துக்கிட்டுமா, உட்காந்துக்கிறேன், 2 பேரும் சேர்ந்து ப்ரீதிங் பண்ணலாமா, உங்களுக்கு வேணும், சும்மா நான் உட்காந்துக்கிறேன். Again empathy, right? But when you go one step forward and say that இதெல்லாம் சகஜம், இதெல்லாம் நடக்கிறது, நீ தைரியமா இருமா. This is one thing which people generally say, நீ தைரியமா இரு. அரே அவளுக்கு தைரியமா இருக்க தெரிஞ்சா அவ இந்த சிச்சுவேஷன்ல இருப்பாளா? தைரியமா இரு, நீ எதுக்குமே கவலைப்படாத. All that is sympathetic reaction. எனக்கு புரியுது, நீ உன்னோட ஃபீலிங் எனக்கு புரியுது, நீ உன்னோட ஃபீலிங் கரெக்ட், நீ தைரியமா இருன்னு சொன்னா அவங்களுக்கு எப்படி தோணும்? ஓ நான் தைரியமா இல்ல. ஃபர்ஸ்ட் அந்த thing in their mind. So நான் தைரியமா இல்ல, அதனாலதான் இப்படி சொல்றாங்க. So she first will feel that I'm not doing something already, right? So first start by saying, I am understanding you. புரியுது, yeah, I am there. நீ சொல்றது தப்பு இல்லம்மா, புரியுதுமா. That's all. That is empathy. தைரியமா இரு can come after empathy, not immediately after, right? Another important part of facilitation process is active listening. Generally, when I take this module for people outside, in general, for doctors and physiotherapists and generally therapists, active listening is a huge part. I take it as like a 2 full session of 3 hours. But now I'm just concising it very, very simply because I've already spoken a lot about this. Active listening is listening not only from your ears, but I already told you every part is the whole body communicates. Listening with your body, listening with your heart, listening with your ears, listening with your eyes, and with your mouth. That is active listening. Active listening is communication is 55% of the body, 38% of your voice, and only 7% of words. Evidence proven that we remember only 30% of what we hear. Adnalda office calls irundadana, if I forget, don't worry about it. It happens to every human, right? We don't remember and register what we hear, but we remember and register what we see and what we feel. Yesterday, I remember all of Dr. Govind's session, and the most part I remember is, if it is good enough parenting for 40%. Why? Because it immediately struck my feeling. Right? அந்த மாதிரி நிறைய பேருக்கு தனித்தனியா ஒரு டேக் அவே இருக்கும். ஏன்னா அது இமீடியட்டா என்னோட ஃபீலிங், அவரோட அப்ரோச் எனக்கு ரொம்ப பிடிச்சிருக்கு. So that is active listening. பாக்கி எல்லாம் நான் மறந்துட்டானாவும் நான் எது ஒழுங்கா ஃபுல்லா அப்சர்வ் பண்ணேனோ அதுதான் என் மைண்ட்ல இருக்கும். 7% of only verbal, 55% whooping, 55% is body. So even if you don't talk, you are communicating. So friends, this is what I want to again specify. பேசலனா பரவாயில்லை, stay there. நீங்க பேசவே வேண்டாம். Your job there is not even to talk. Empathy, sympathy always comes, but if you're just present with your body, that itself is empathy. I am there for you. I come regularly. I am offering myself. அவங்க வாரம் வந்து என்ன ஜானட் பாக்குறாங்க, வாரம் நான் சொல்றது கேக்குறாங்க. That is enough for them. And that is what counseling does by them. It's not rocket science, but it's just feeling. So, அதான் நான் சொன்னேன் இல்லையா, active listening is a very big aspect that I teach. So this is some quote which I really like. Think about it. It might be a little too out of the way. Listening. What is listening? Listening to another person demands the self-denial of quick reaction and imposes a painful but compassionate silence, which prepares the soul for the truth. So so the words I really like is imposes a painful but compassionate silence, right? And it stops you from giving quick reaction. That is the beauty of this definition, right? I love this definition. And by the way, Maruka's self-help books are also very good. In his discourses are also very good. He really talks about how to live an ideal human life, just being there, and it's very nice. However, the beautiful part is painful but compassionate. It's very painful to stop your mouth from saying anything, especially when you want to say it. It's painful. right? But very, very compassionate. You think it's not, you think it's compassionate for the other person? No, it's compassionate for yourself, because words once said cannot be taken back. You cannot take it back. So instead of putting all the pressure on what to say, என்ன சொல்றது, சும்மா இருந்தா கேட்டா அதே போதும். Active listening is a beautiful tool, right? For example, I will come to that. Okay, so this is a table which is about good and bad listening. I'll just go through few points. Again, it will be made available to you, right? First and foremost is be aware of your own feelings before you are ready to respond to the other person. You're not listening when you're talking about yourself, your achievements, your experiences, right? You are listening when you still sit still and look interested. You are not listening when you feel sorry for the person and give cliches like, what are the cliches? It happens to everybody. It is very common. Other mothers are also suffering. These are all cliches. Nobody wants to hear it, right? You are actively listening when you show it through your body language that you're listening. You're not listening when you look irritated. Like, for example, if Maria is talking to me and I'm like doing like this, like that, it is not listening. It is not active listening, right? Active listening, empathic listening are almost the same. When you're attending to the person fully and consciously in the body, mind, and in physicality, active listening. Even when you talk to your child, when you make eye contact, the child is calm. Even if the child is saying something really, really rude and bad, the child gets calmed down. But when you are going to walk her, look like this and allow the child to speak, she's just going to keep ranting. Try it with your child. Try it as an experiment. When your child is saying something, make eye contact and be fully present and nod your head and listen to them. Get that pain of not wanting to say anything, painful but compassionate, stopping. See the difference. There's a world of change. There will be a world of change, right? This Solar F model is something which we have already learned from Dr. Najia, practiced it also. If there was more time, I was wanting to actually practice it, but probably this is something Maria and Subhashri can take it up on the 19th. Solar F model, where you sit squarely, have an open body. Bag eppadi katti pudichittu pesna yarukume pesa mudiyadhu. Have an open body, allow people to talk to you, lean forward. Nindu pesumbodhu yaru pesa maatanga. You seen doctors do that? It really triggers me actually. When I go with a problem and they sit like this and listen to you, you feel that they are not empathic, right? Right? Making eye contact, feeling relaxed and looking friendly. All of this, idella pannale you will look friendly, right? So this is something which can easily and naturally come to a person. All of these are takeaways from the session which I can pass on to you. So with this, the session comes to an end. Do you have any questions? What questions do you have? I think you stop sharing.
I have a basic question. Okay, throughout the session, you were talking about being non-judgmental, right? So what I feel is, being a woman, okay, we always tend to have, we rely much on our intuition, right? அது நமக்கு ரொம்ப ஜாஸ்தியே இருக்கும். That sense works much faster than anybody. So அப்போ நம்ம being non-judgmental சொன்னா, நம்ம அந்த intuition நமக்கு கொடுக்கிற சிக்னலை அத நம்ம கொஞ்சம் put down பண்ற மாதிரி இல்லையா? Is that not
right? Mother, there are two questions. One is intuition and judgment the same? And okay. Second question is, when you have an intuition, do I have to curb it in order to stop me from judging the other person? So there are two questions in this. So the first question answered by intuition and judgments are not same.
Okay.
What is intuition?
When I talk to a person, when somebody shares something to me, okay, ஓகே ஒரு கால் இது இதனால இருக்குமோ அப்படின்னு நம்ம வந்து அந்த இடத்துல அந்த பர்சனா போய் சில கால்குலேஷன் போட்டு பாக்குது. சோ நம்ம என்ன பண்றோம், முடிஞ்ச வரைக்கும் அதை கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ண பாக்குறோம். அப்படி இல்லைன்னா நமக்கு என்ன தோணுதோ அதை வந்து ஒரு கால் இது இப்படி நடந்திருக்கலான்றத நம்ம அவங்க கிட்ட நம்ம மைண்ட்ல தான் லோட் பண்ணிடுறோம்.
ஒரு சின்ன கரெக்ஷன், இன்ட்யூஷன்ங்கிறது அது ஜட்ஜ்மெண்ட். இன்ட்யூஷன் வந்து is to preempt something even before it has been said or done is intuition. It is partly assumption, but it is not judgment. Intuition is எப்படின்னா, for example, I'll give you a recent example, okay? Subhashri is going to laugh at me. A recent example. I had given some work to a person who works with us, who's interning with us. I've given the thing to the person, and Subhashri had warned me that there will be delays and all of that. She gave me her warning. She was intuitive about a possible delay by saying that that person generally has a tendency of this thing. So there are two parts to it. She was intuitive about the delay based on the person's past behavior. That is not being judgmental. But when she said that he always is doing this, that is judgmental. I love the benefit of the doubt is where intuition gives a breathable space. So when I received the thing last night, I was already thinking to myself, நாளைக்கு காத்தால சீக்கிரமா எழுந்து இந்த பிரசன்டேஷனை முடிச்சிரணும், because I'm depending on how Subhashri has already told, I feel that I have to be more aware and get up on time, and it gave me stress. We did this stress. It gave me stress, and I woke up in the morning on my own, sat down and actually did the presentation myself, not relying on that. But that is intuition. But if I go back and say this person is good for nothing and I'm never going to ever work with him, he's doing the same thing, that is judgment. Purida Subhashri, that is the difference. Now, how does one stop intuition and judgment coming together? Look at intuition as intuition. Intuition is telling you about something not to do. Preempting your action is intuition.
So basically,
preempting another person. Yeah, Ore Nimsho Maria. Preempting your action is intuition. Intuition that it might not have happened, so I have to get up on time tomorrow to do this work. Intuition. Preempting another person's action is judgmental. Okay, am I clear? Yeah, Maria, you asked me a question.
So basically, you're saying is that or incident or situation நடக்கிறதுக்கு முன்னாடி the gut feeling will be having, that is intuition, and
what yourself,
your actions,
your situations, your actions, that is intuition. But if you're going to do it about another person, that is being judgment. Now, many times we prejudge our own selves. என்னால இது முடியாதுப்பா, எங்களுக்கு இதெல்லாம் வரவே வராது. That is again intuitively being judgmental about yourself. அது இன்னொரு காம்ப்ளெக்ஸ் விஷயம். That is also being judgment. என்னால முடியாது, I can't do this, என்கிட்ட இதெல்லாம் எக்ஸ்பெக்ட் பண்ணாதீங்க. Again judgment, self judgment, self deteriorating judgment, where you actually curb your intuition. You didn't give your intuition a chance to talk to you. You just munadiye you judged yourself and said, that's it, I can't do this anymore. Right? That's another different, again, lack of self-awareness. A person who's self-aware allows intuition to speak to them. Okay. What are the questions? I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions which will come up, and probably you will ask all of it in the next session. In fact, my Mahima session is on 11. She's going to talk about vicarious trauma, and she's going to talk about the
psychological first aid.
PFA, psychological first aid. I always forget that term. She's going to talk about psychological first aid. She's going to cover a lot of aspects that we have done through this. அவங்க வந்து அதை more applicative சொல்ல போறாங்க, conceptual சொல்ல போறாங்க. She'll be coming from a perspective of a health worker. So probably that will also be very helpful. If you have any questions, do ask her. In the session kapro, of course, there has been very less participation. But Maria, I really urge people to actually watch the session, because this is a lot of clarity on what they have to do there. And sadly, people have not participated. So people, Annala, please put it in the group that people need to actually sit and see the session. Right? We have kept up to the time also. So what other questions? Any other questions that we want to address, or you want to ask me separately also? Later we can call it off.
I hope that's it, because we are very less number of participants.